Am I the asshole for being honest about why I left a job, causing the new hire not to take it? I'm a student in university, and my first year I worked in a lab. It was not a good experience. One of my coworkers would constantly text me outside of work and demand that I answer her immediately. The bosses did nothing about it, but yelled at me if I texted her outside of work hours. I was scheduled to work way too many hours, and pressured into skipping class to go into work. They gave me little to no flexibility for exams, and I was often running from exam to work because they wouldn't give me time off. I was being bombarded and harassed by the job so much that it felt like I was a student on the side and a full-time employee, when the reverse was true. This was an on-campus job, so my employers definitely knew I was a student. Eventually I was fed up and just handed in my resignation and didn't show up again. I was sick and tired of being run ragged for a job and got a new one. Well, I put that I'd worked this job on LinkedIn and a girl contacted me saying she'd been offered a job there and wanted to know my experience. I told her everything above and she ended up not taking it and going to a different lab. She ended up telling my old employers that I told her my experiences, and they are blowing up my email and phone, calling me unprofessional and an asshole because she would have been a good addition to the lab. Am I the asshole for telling her my experiences which caused her to not take the job? Edit. A word. Sorry, I have a really bad cold. Whoever reported me for being suicidal, I'm fine. File a report on them if you can. If they actually used the word asshole when talking to an ex-employee, that's disgusting. They are blowing up my email and phone, calling me unprofessional and an asshole. A perfect example of pot calling the kettle black. Not the asshole. You would have been the asshole if you hadn't told her. As it is, not the asshole. She deserves to know what she was getting into, and companies, or labs, that want good employees need to be good employers. Absolutely not the asshole. Hands clapping. If only more people did this so that employers would realize that they can't get away with harassing employees and other nonsense. Kinda you are the asshole on her part for telling them about your conversation considering that you did her a favor. Not the asshole. The person who didn't take the job was Ta. She didn't need to tell them that you gave her negative info about them. Not the asshole. She asked, you answered. If they wanted good employee feedback, the solution is to be better employers. Woman shrugging, light skin tone. Am I the asshole for wanting my boyfriend to pay me for the hair accessories that he dumped? I'm 27-year-old female and I wear hair accessories, lots of them, and have a huge collection of hairpins, headbands, hair clip, side combs, etc., and they're all of bright colors and funny shapes. Some people in my life consider it childish, especially my boyfriend. He thinks I wear them excessively and said that they make me look like a teenager. Recently he has been complaining about being too embarrassed to take me out or go anywhere with me because of my hair accessories, even though it's not a new thing. But he said his friend sat him down and told him that his girl, me, is dressing like a little girl or a mentally challenged girl, which makes him look embarrassed. He gave me an ultimatum saying he won't go anywhere with me unless I stop wearing this stuff, but I refused. He stopped going anywhere with me and started excluding me from events he went to. His sister's birthday was a couple of days ago and he wanted me to go so bad. I said I'd still wear my hair accessories, but he threw a fit and refused. The next day I found out that he took my entire collection away and dumped it in the sea. I was so angry I unloaded on him completely. He told me to stop being childish and start acting my age. He even said I should get therapy for whatever childhood trauma I went through that's causing me regression. I yelled at him demanding he pay me for the entire collection, and he said that he can only offer to get me colorless scrunchie that women my age wear, but I refused. His family got involved and his mom offered me to pay, but I refused to let her and told her son is the one who threw it away. He kept refusing, saying it's not worth fighting for and that I should learn to step out of my comfort zone and try new things, but I insisted he pay me. His argument is that this is impacting his public image as well and that he'd already spoke to me about it, but I ignored him. Am I overreacting here? Not the asshole. This man is not for you and he's the one needs therapy for whatever is bugging him, because that is not normal behavior. You don't obsess over your partner's fashion choices like that. And then the fact that he threw it all in the ocean? Well, that's a whole other reason to choose celibacy over this mess. He's actively polluting the world because of his weird obsession about your fashion choices. You're gonna hear this a lot, but I definitely think you should reconsider this relationship. It is acting your age, to know your style and what you like and stand up for it. You're absolutely not the asshole, and your boyfriend, hopefully ex by now, since he doesn't respect you and only want to change you to fit what he thinks is right, deserves to get his ass kicked. ETA. His image is getting affected? Please, he's being so immature. He's acting like a child that after not getting what they want, throw a tantrum and destroys things. It's abusive, red flags galore. Major warning for future physical abuse. I'd say accept his mother's money, and then post about it all over online to further humiliate him. Not the asshole. And PLS dump him. 1. He destroyed your property which you paid for. 2. Refuses to pay you back. 3. Does not accept you for the things you like. 4. Gives in to others' opinion about you. 5. Does not defend you but rather sides with them. 6. His public image is more important to him than being supportive of his GF. I repeat, dump him. PLS. I'm sorry, but in the sea? Tears of joy. How goddamn dramatic can you be? Did he stride down the sidewalk, box of hair ties in hand, reciting soliloquies from Shakespeare on his way to banish the hairbands from his kingdom? On the other hand, Ariel is probably thrilled with all the new thingamabobs and doohickeys. Not the asshole. 1. Get your money. 2. Dump this dude. 3. Enjoy a happier life. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Just throw the boyfriend in the sea and go buy some Technicolor scrunchies and be done with it. Am I the asshole telling my husband's nurse that she doesn't get to dictate who's isn't allowed in my home? My husband, M36, has been in the hospital for weeks. He just got discharged but he needs home care. We got him a nurse, to be able to monitor his medical devices. His nurse comes over to handle stuff like catheter and cannula insertions and medication intake. I've noticed she's been acting a bit rude and overstepping by trying to tell me when to enter my bedroom where my husband's staying or when the kids get to come in. I already told her how I felt about her attitude and she claimed she was just doing her job making sure my husband is getting enough rest. Yesterday, my parents came over to visit my husband since they'd been planning to come for a while but couldn't find time. I opened the door for them and lead them towards the bedroom. The minute we walked in, the nurse started redirecting us outside. I was confused. I asked what TF she was doing and she told me she was in the middle of removing my husband's catheter and this wasn't a time for a visit. I nearly laughed but she forced us out and shut the door. I was fuming. I had my parents go into the living room then came back and started arguing with her. She told me that my husband was in a vulnerable state and needed privacy, and she as his nurse simply provided it to him and had my visitors go wait outside. I told her this is my home, my bedroom, and those were my parents coming over to see my husband and check in on him. So they were his visitors as well. She told me it wasn't the right time for a visit but I told her that she's in my home and she was overstepping by trying to dictate who is and who isn't allowed in to see my husband. I told her I'd report her for this attitude and she kept saying that she was just trying to do her job and told me to go ask my husband about how he felt about having people see him in such state. I asked her to leave. Then after my parents were done with their visit I tried to talk to my husband. He told me he did feel like his privacy was violated and that I was being too harsh on the nurse. I told him that my parents were worried sick and wanted to see him. He said this wasn't the right time and basically backed the nurse up. We got into an argument over this and then he told me to let it go and let the nurse do her job, but I said that she keeps acting aggressively and like I was some outsider in my own home. Am the asshole in this situation or is she really overstepping? You are the asshole. Your husband probably told her to do this. If I were him I wouldn't want my in-laws in there either. Give him some damn privacy. Holy shit. Edit. Just reread it. He did tell her to do this, and he felt his privacy was violated. You're being a really terrible partner right now. Let him have his privacy while he heals. You are the asshole. Lady was changing the man's catheter. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm willing to bet that other times the nurse tried to get privacy for him, it was at his request, or because medical procedures necessary to his care were underway. Who the F cares that your parents were worried sick? If they are decent people, they'll understand the concept of waiting until your husband is ready to see them. You're being terrible to a man recovering from serious medical issues. Learn some boundaries. You don't own your husband, he's his own person. None of this is about you. And #X200B. OMG. Thank you for the silver, kind Reddit friend. You are the asshole. Here's a wild idea. Listen to what your husband, the person most impacted, wants. You are the asshole. She was in the middle of dealing with his catheter and you wanted to push in there with your parents in tow? In the hospital they'd draw the curtain for privacy for a procedure like that. This is no different. You are the asshole. I'm a nurse, and when a nurse is removing a catheter, it's common and respectful to either not come into the room or leave, as the patient most likely doesn't desire an audience while having a tube removed from her urethra. Think about how you would feel if the tables were turned. You're spread eagle on a bed while a medical professional is all up in your business trying to remove a tube. Have some compassion for your husband and respect for his privacy. FFS. Of course she's being aggressive, you aren't listening. AITA. For kicking my brother and his family out of my flat after they wrecked my roommate's things. So me, 24F, and my friend, 24F, bought this massive flat in Manchester like it has 4 bedrooms and there are only 2 of us, so we both made a deal that we could have family stay with us as long as we tell the other person, and we had that rule for quite some time and it was fine. I have known this friend for years, so that's why we moved in together. And out of nowhere one day my brother sends me a message saying that he and his family are having some financial trouble and asked if they could stay with me and my friend. I asked my friend and she said it was all right as always. So I tell my brother he can stay, but for 2 weeks max, because she had family coming to visit and it wouldn't be fair on her. The next day my brother and his family come over, and when I say family it's him, his wife and their 3 kids aged 4, 7 and 9. I give all 3 of them a tenner each to go buy something from the shop. We let them both get settled in their room and then we have a meeting to set some rules. 1. Don't go into my friend's room. 2. Don't go into my room, and 3. Don't take anything without asking. We say this to everyone who stays with us, so it wasn't like we were doing anything out of the normal. The first couple of days it was fine until one day I was out and I get a call from my friend saying that someone went into her room. I go back to the flat and tell her it was probably one of the kids and we would talk to them later, and we do with my brother and his wife saying to keep the kids out of her room, and again the evening is fine. The next day I'm at home in my room when my friend walks in crying. I ask what's wrong and she explains that someone went into her room again and wrecked her painting she was doing and had also smashed some pictures frames, and it looks like someone was climbing around on her desk. I immediately say sorry and condole her and tell her I would sort it out. I call my brother and tell him and his family to get home now. When he gets home I tell him they need to get out. They both look at me shocked and I tell them, we set rules and your kids ignored them. You should have taken control of your kids and now you need to leave. They both look at me shocked and I show them what the kids had done, and again I tell them to get out of my flat. Thankfully they do without a fight, but obviously, my brother has told the family and now some of my family are calling me an asshole for kicking my brother and his family out. So am I the asshole? Not the asshole. This is an obvious answer. He fucked up with telling his kids after the first and final warning. There was clear rules set, and for the kids to do that shitty of a thing? Nah. Not the asshole. You told them the rules, and they broke them. Who lets their kids destroy other people's things anyway? Not the asshole. You've done nothing wrong. Your brother should have relayed the rules you set to his own kids. I'm sorry if your family is giving you grief, but if they expect only you to help him out while they do nothing, then I suggest you limit contact for your own mental well-being. P.S. I suggest you and roommate get locks, as this 100% ensures nothing like this would ever happen in the future. Not the asshole. You set boundaries and rules and they were not respected. Kudos to you for following through. Not the asshole. There were rules and the damage seems malicious. I will take it a step further, saying your brother and his wife are ta. You were doing them a huge solid. They put you in an awkward situation. They had warning. That they tattle to family is super immature. I'm sure they didn't even give full details. I have twin boys. They can be a nightmare, but I try to teach them respect. Not the asshole. Write back to everyone from your family who call you ah. If you think so, you can take them to your house. Here also are cost of repair of things they destroyed. You can transfer me this amount. Thanks.